churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Follow wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The ESports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The ESports Oval League driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The ESports Oval League with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. It's a green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire. Lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The ESports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The ESports Oval League driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The ESports Oval League with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire, lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission, the goal we all crave. Speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The esports Oval League with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission, the goal we all crave. Speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire, lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission, the goal we all crave. Speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The esports eSports Mobile League, driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The eSports Oval League with the best racer show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise. Pushing limits in the oval till we touch the sky. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge. Pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge. Drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise. Pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire. Lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise. Pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge. Pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge. Drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge. Pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge. Drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise. Pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are. Chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise. Pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The eSports Oval League, driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The eSports Oval League, driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The eSports Oval League with the best racer show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise. Pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge. Pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge. Drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise. Pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire. Lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we continue on the 2025 season of the Esports Oval League, the Grind Cup Series, ready for our first road course stop of the season. This is the Chicago Street Course, a technical, very tight street course, and this evening we have, looks like an upwards of 25 drivers ready to take the green flag. A lot of different fundamentals of this race. No cautions coming out with the exception of a potential track blocker. No fast repairs, no green-white checkers. Basically, it all comes down to hitting your marks, consistency, and also making sure you've got the right fuel strategy to be able to get those very valuable stage points. I'm Seth Cole, alongside a broadcaster driver tonight, Scott Rankin. And Scott, you mentioned this last week. You're not necessarily a big fan of this particular type of racetrack, not a lot of passing zones, and you're coming from the rear of the field. So right out of the gate, what are we looking at in terms of strategy?
Big one is survive. Fuel stops. Fuel stints is going to be in the realm of 21 to 22 laps. So what we're going to be looking at is that's just a touch shy of stage number 2. Can you split the stage up to look for a little bit of track position? Well, that's going to be one of the ways you can do it. The problem is, if you drop back out of those guys that you've actually, you've undercut them on the fuel strategy, you'll probably catch them again and have to make those overtakes. So it's going to be one of those things where you just sort of need to read what the race is doing. First and foremost, the biggest thing you have to do tonight is survive. Any contact with those outside barriers, we have no fast repairs. Reminder, no fast repairs. So the sending that I was doing in the middle of qualifying to really go for that hot lap, and I missed a braking marker, pinched a brake, or just a little bit offline, you pinch a brake, puts you in the fence, day is done. You can rip a right front or left front tire off these things really, really easy. So it's an adjustment. You're going to have to drive the car a little bit differently. Where you are in the race, the phase of the race, how much pressure you're under is going to dictate a lot, but there will be a lot of mistakes here tonight. You're going to see a lot of cars in the fence, and the biggest thing is that those barriers come up really, really quickly. The biggest difference between, say, Watkins Glen and Chicago Street Course, barriers right there. You cannot get away from them. I feel claustrophobic already.
How about our front row? 1 week removed from his victory, Brandon Cooper sets the qualifying lap that will have him starting from the pole. Kyle Holden, former winner on the season, points leader coming into this one. I had to chuckle because it was watching Holden's laps in practice. He was up at the top of the board. He qualifies on the front row. And last week when we talked to him, he says, I'm not really looking forward to the road course. And here he is, still showing up with some speed. The rest of the field better be a little bit worried.
I think that's the biggest thing, though, is you can be quick at a circuit and still feel uncomfortable. And Chicago really emanates that. Like, you can't, like I said, you can't get away from the barriers. You cannot get away from the barriers. One of the biggest things I know from me as a driver is that I make lots of tiny little errors. They're generally not enough of an error to lose more than, say, a tenth and a half per lap, but for the individual mistake. But you can't make those sorts of errors on a street course. You can make those areas on a road course, no problem. But I actually had an opportunity to talk to a couple of drivers. Was privileged enough to go down and be around the Bathurst 12 Hour this year. Was something I sort of did for myself after getting divorced. Was like, yep, I'm going to go to a race meet. I'm going to have a really, really good time. I was talking to a couple of drivers there who participated in Spa 24 Hour. That participated in multiple Nürburgring endurance events. What is your favorite track on the world? What's the difference? And they all said, we like Bathurst. We like the challenge because the wall's closer. Well, this is a step up on Bathurst. There is no runoff areas. You know, there's a couple corners whereby you can run wide and straight line the braking zones and pull the car up, but that's it. You know, the walls are right there, and you think that the walls are tight? Go on board at some stage, and I know you will, Seth, but it's different. Chicago, it literally feels claustrophobic.
It is a very tight road course. 12 corners as they make their way here into the final right-hander. And the Chris Hubka, the lender 145, first road course stop of the season, is green, and we are racing. It's going to be a drag race down here to the first left-hander, turn 1. Cooper on the left, Holden on the right. Give the advantage to the pole sitter here heading down towards turn number 3.
Middle and back of the track, there was a bunch of cars that all got into each other. I know DJ Daniels was being really aggressive on the initial jump. He dived down the inside of a bunch of cars, try to get the job done.
That Davies looks like he just backed out of all of it, dropped towards the tail end of the field. Oh, we got a spinner there. That is Ryland Facinato off there in turn. I believe that's turn number 4.
Turn 4, that is.
Yeah, there's some runoff there. He will get it back going after qualifying really well. He qualified, I believe, 4th.
Yeah, that's a really difficult corner to get the car pulled up in because it's angled. So you want to point the car as straight as you possibly can in the braking zone, and that braking zone's actually got a little bit of an angle and turning it, and then add into that the bumps. It's really, really difficult to get the car pulled up. More pinch brakes as we come off the bridge as well.
Tough on entry, and as I was on board with a lot of these drivers during the course of practice, looks like it's really tough off the corner too. I heard a lot of wheel spin out of those rear tires.
Yeah. You got to get that wheels pointed straight. You can't get back to full throttle until the car is actually straight. So you got to be smart about how you apply the throttle.
And Cooper going to hang on for lap number 1's completion, but Kyle Holden moving to driver's right, trying to set up a pass here into turn 1. Behind them in 3rd place, Mark Gonzalez had a great run last time out at the Legacy version of Atlanta. So too did Lilith Peters, who's holding down 4th, and Alan Dobbs right now completing your top 5. Looks like everybody was able to get around, complete the first lap. Ryland Facinato, the only one with an issue over there, but he has been able to continue, albeit now a full 20 seconds behind the race leader. And 50 laps here this evening. No cautions, as we mentioned, aside from if there is a wreck that completely blockades the track. So if you're in the situation of the 25 car, is it better to have that mistake early on here rather than have it later on in the race? Or do you not want to have a mistake at all, not put a wheel wrong at all during the course of this thing, knowing that there's maybe no guaranteed caution to be able to bunch back up?
This is one of those races where you don't want to have a mistake at all. You're 100% right. You need the field to pack back up. But I would rather have it late, and the reason for that is field spread. If you're going to have a mistake, survive the first 15 laps, then start to press on after that. Get yourself into the groove of the race. Once the field spreads out, you'll only lose a couple spots by having a mistake like that. And he was sort of sat there for a very long time looking for somewhere to rejoin as well. Whereas once the field spreads out, that'll get a lot more easy. Lap traffic will be a big issue tonight. Minute and 30-second lap, but traffic is a huge issue just because of the field spread. I think in qualifying from pole to dead last was a 5-second spread, which is, that's huge. You don't ever see that.
Kyle Holden trying to go around the outside. It's the second time on the front straightaway that he has gone to driver's right. He will have the inside line here into the right-hand turn 2, and he will complete the pass as Cooper gets really loose there. Had to yank the wheel to make sure he didn't get into those tire barriers looming there off the second corner. There's a couple of areas where those tire barriers seem to jut out, and they can get you if you overdrive the corner. Turn 2 is one of those areas. Another area as well, down into the sharp 90-degree left-hander coming up here, the entry into turn number 6, and then you mentioned it as well, Scott, over in turn 8 near the monument on East Congress Plaza.
Yeah, that monument, the wall juts out there, and it's basically to prevent you from turning in. too early, but it actually creates more issues because now it's a hazard you sort of drive around as well, really sets everything up. I'm used to cars where I sit on the right-hand side of the race car. Remember V8 supercars? That's the Australian style of things. I've just gotten out of a V8 supercar race I did this morning, and the first thing I had to do was adjust, and I say morning because it is morning, but adjust to sitting on the other side of the car again. So that's a big issue. Oh, Tom Bourne's around in the monument.
He'll get the thing going again here. Oop, out in the racing groove. Now he'll get rolling. You talked about that. You said that was going to be the main trouble spot here this evening. Tom Bourne, unfortunate. You know, there's situations where you can have a spin at a road course, and your car spins in such a way that you're able to continue rolling. Right there, you saw he was with his front end against the wall, couldn't back up into the racing groove if there was any oncoming traffic. You just have to sit there, wait until everybody's on by, and you have an opportunity to then be able to back up and continue rolling. Loses you a ton of track time.
Does. It's a lot of track time, and it requires a lot of patience as well. So, you know, heads up, you got to look around and be aware of what's going on. But the biggest thing, like I said, survival. It is all about survival in these early stages. You can't score stage points, and then you can't score overall race points if you're not there for the end of that. And with the amount of walls that are around, I'm driving at 80% at the moment just because I got to survive, got to get myself into the race. There'll be a few drivers who'll be driving a little bit less than that. A lot of discussion in the Humscombe Motorsports crew about what the right way to do. I was talking to Patrick McQuaid about things you can do with the brakes and things that you can do with the steering just to make the car a little bit easier to drive. And I said, man, after all that's said and done, keep the car on all four wheels and you'll be fine.
Looks like Rylan Facinato may have had another off-track excursion. He sits on pit road. We saw as well, making his first start of the season, the 6 of Tyler Rice had a moment there, heading towards the entrance of turn number 1. He has since gotten it rolling again. And as I was kind of looking back here through the field, I noticed that when Rylan Facinato had his moment over in turn 4, it gave, on our scoring, it gave a 9-second lane. I don't know what that exactly means. I've also noticed that has given that to the 38 of Dylan McDonald, so I would have to assume that meant that he got off course at some point as well.
It's difficult to get off course here, so there's realistically only a couple different spots you can do it, and they're all the braking zones where you can sort of shoot long. So it's about smartness. So not 100% sure what that means in the time in the scoring, but you know, we'll get an opportunity to read that.
I mentioned about you starting at the back, making good progress. This is the battle now for the 8th position. Jeff Kleinsma up ahead. In the early going here, what kind of things are you feeling out of this race car? I mean, obviously, you mentioned about, you know, the lack of grip on entry, the lack of grip on exit, but you're making passes here. Is it more the fact you've been able to find some areas where you're stronger than the competition, or is there a lot more give and take where a driver looks in the rearview mirror and says, okay, that guy's faster than me, let me just kind of move out of his way here, run my own pace?
Some of both. Jeff Kleinsma wants to really make a fight of this, which is awesome. You know, I want to fight the guy. I want to earn it back off of him. But the big thing is listening for the car bottoming out. Effectively, anytime you hear that, there's the floor of the car's on making contact with the road, not the tires, and you lose all downforce when that happens. So that's a loss of grip sort of style moment. At the same time, you can't get all the way back to the gas until the car is completely straight. Because if you do, and you probably would have seen my wheel work, I'm just sort of fighting it a little bit off the corner exit. That's me with a little bit too much gas in it, trying to run Jeff down, because this right here is the best overtaking opportunity. It's the widest section of racetrack that we have on the lap. So I wasn't close enough to get the job done right there, and you probably heard me pinch right front, so I had to start the brakes. I'm gonna run, get to his inside, and now he'll yield, because you don't want to go side by side through this next section of the track. So he's gonna yield because this is too much risk. So that's me putting him in a compromised position, and then him recognizing, okay, this is going to happen no matter what I do here. Let's get rid of the risk here and let that happen. But again, you can just hear I'm just real easy on the throttle off the corners.
Turn 5 and down South Columbus Drive, headed here for turn number 6. As we're on board with you, right there you can see those Chevrolet logos. That's where that tire barrier is. If drivers overshoot that corner, aren't able to get on the brakes soon enough, I saw quite a number of drivers actually slide into that corner and hit the tire barrier. And we've already talked about the fact, starting last week at Atlanta, no faster pairs. I mean, I'm looking around here. These are concrete jersey barriers that they've got here. You've got the tire barrier factor. If you end up hitting any of these things, how badly does that affect the car for the rest of the run? Does that completely take you out of the picture? Is there any place here at this particular course that you can make contact with an outside boundary wall and still have a shot?
There's something going on. There's actually a car around down here. Yes, there are. Tire barriers is the big one. If you can make contact with the tire bundles, you'll be okay, unless you hit them really, really hard. But the big thing is to try and hit it on some of the bodywork and not the tires. If you're going to make contact with something, hit it on the bodywork. Don't hit those tires. As soon as you hit those tires, breaks the toe link. You're in trouble.
Another car on the move is Trey Whitehead. We've seen him the last couple of weeks work his way from the back up to the front. He's finished solid in the last 2 races, and right now just cracked into the top 10, trying to catch up to the 15 of Kleinsma. For the 9th spot, there is the wounded machine of Rylan Faccianato back out onto the racetrack. He is 4 laps down, and we've got a car on pit road. That's the 19 of Peyton Holland. Now, something that's interesting here, you and I were talking about this before we came on the air. Stage ends at the completion of lap number 12 for stage 1, completion of lap 24 for the completion of stage 2. No cautions will split up these stages, however. We will run green through them. And you mentioned about the fact that with what you guys have in the fuel tank, you cannot make it to the completion of stage 2 without coming to pit road, which will mix up some strategies here for drivers once we more than likely cross that lap 12 threshold, especially for those that finish up inside the top 10.
Yeah, so it's a little bit difficult on that front. The big key is that we're 9 laps shy, I think, in terms of making it on fuel. 8 or 9 laps in terms of making it on one stopper on fuel, so that's a big concern. So if you can make it without the pit stop to that halfway mark, then you can make the end of the race, then you're a shot at strategizing your way there. Just going to take a quick look at my fuel. I've got 14 laps from here, so that gets me to the end of 22. So again, not making it on fuel strategy, and that's a lot of fuel to save. So I'd have to save 3 laps of fuel per run to make it in the end. That's just not doable. That's way too far. So that changes the strategy up. That means basically from lap 9 into this race, you can make it to the home, and to that car that was just on pit lane, they're not making it to that point. They're not making it on strategy. So something to think about as well. They've got to make an extra pit stop. But if I catch traffic and they're not being as forgiving, one of the things I can do is jump to the lane. But if I get caught behind more traffic, well, then that's where I lose out. So, and there's going to be traffic a circuit over. So best way to get an overtake done is to go for the under or overcut. You cannot do what the car, if you're quicker than them, you cannot do what they're doing.
A bad moment goes worse for Jeff Kleinsma. He overdrove the entry into turn number 4, and you saw right there getting into the tire barriers off of turn 7. That race car looks pretty wounded. I'm not necessarily certain. It almost looked like the right or maybe the left rear wasn't even turning. You could definitely see a broken toe link on the suspension of that race car as he tries to limp it back to pit road. Matt Davies also was on the pit lane. He has since returned to the racetrack as well. As good battle back here, a 4-car battle. This is currently going on outside the top 15, but they're wadded up from 17th on back. That's Cogswell in the 27, Christian Ruse in the 14, Matt Mettler in the 31, and Chris Hubka in the 5. These are drivers that we're used to seeing up inside of the top 10, top 15 week after week, but as we mentioned, when we come to the road courses, there are some drivers that love the road courses. They show up to win. There's other drivers, they show up just to survive and try and complete all the laps. I think that's the category that we're looking at back here.
So it's difficult, you know. We've already mentioned the walls, but the biggest thing about this circuit is just bottoming out all the time in the bumps. You really cannot overestimate how many bumps there actually are around the racetrack and what that does to the suspension, the car grip. And these are stiffly designed race cars, so this is a big ask in terms of skill and difficulty level. For the guys that make the end of it, surviving is a big shout out and kudos to their skill level of race smarts, I would say. The guys that win it, obviously that's where the talent lies, but race smarts is a big thing and worthwhile taking note of.
This is going to be a fun battle to watch here. Lilith Peters in 6th, looking ahead at Mark Gonzalez in the 5th position. Just up ahead there as well, you've got the 96 of DJ Daniels. as we approach the conclusion of stage 1. As we're on board with the 0-1, why don't we turn it up? And as we bring it back, we were just on board with him with our turn it up. Mark Gonzalez into the wall, heading into the entry of turn number 1. Lot of damage on the right front, right side of that machine. Concrete barrier hit, and you can definitely see that has slowed his pace. A driver that was running at the time inside of the top 6.
And that'll be steering damage, just the way his car was reacting straight away. He got over it very quickly. So very much a steering damage related issue there for him. And it looks like it was on that right front corner, that heavy hit, so.
He will limp that race car back to pit road. You could definitely see that right front tire looks a bit askew as well. Tough break there.
There's a yellow flag in the monument somewhere. I don't know, it looks like it was Phantom Call, but sorry, my apologies, Seth, keep going.
Well, you mentioned about just how tight this particular racetrack is. There's no room for error, and we're seeing drivers even up there battling inside of the top 5. Just those slight little mistakes, and they're paying for it dearly. Is good battle right here. Noah Jackson and yourself going at it for the 6th position. A couple of Camrys, and I think you're trying to set him up there for that turn 1 area. Oh, Lilith Peters might have actually gotten the wall there, or it really had to slow on the entry of turn number 1. Now we got a blanket we can throw over 3 cars, 5th through 7th.
And you might have seen me duck out from behind Noah Jackson's rearview mirror. That's when I'm fighting people. It's not necessarily about saying I'm going for the move right here. It's just filling their rearview mirror sometimes. They start looking at you, they start looking at the racetrack, they make a mistake, free spot. So sometimes there's some psychological little games that you can play.
So better to be the attacker rather than defender here, I would assume.
Yeah, I hate being a defender in these sorts of situations, particularly when people are playing in my mirror. It is something it's something that you can only learn to get better at by driving against it. If you're out there and somebody starts doing this sort of stuff, like it certainly saps your concentration. And at a street circuit, it's a risky move to do because the car ahead of you hits the barrier. Oftentimes, you'll end up hitting them as well. So. It's a risky game, but you know it's one of the ways that you can get a pass. The other thing it can do sometimes is a guy will see you moving around in his rearview mirror and he'll go, "Man, that guy's gonna hit me. I gotta get out of this," and he'll just let you go. So you know, does a few different things.
Kyle Holden came into this race 46 points over his nearest competitor in the overall point standings, and he just crossed the line to complete lap number 12. So he will pick up the stage victory in stage 1. Cooper crosses the line in 2nd. With Dobbs, DJ Daniels, Lilith Peters, that's going to be the top 5. Scott Rankin coming in at 6th with Noah Jackson, Trey Whitehead, Patrick McQuaid, and Ryan Catalano picking up those valuable stage points here. Now it's a question of when are we racing to the green flag pit stop. I've noticed a number of drivers have come down pit lane, since we went green, but it looks like most of them have come down for crash damage repair. Christian Ruse, unscheduled pit stop over a minute and a half on pit road. Tyler Rice, Jeffrey Kleinsma, Peyton Holland as well. Matt Davies, Rylan Facinato's been on and off pit road a couple of times, and actually just recently coming down pit road and making the left-hand turn to the garage is going to be the 8 of Mark Gonzalez. So he will more than likely, depending on if everybody else that's behind him gets out there and at least runs about 5 to 6 extra laps, he will finish 25th here tonight. Tough break there for a guy who last week was in the running for the victory, had that contact between himself and Brandon Cooper that shuffled him back. I believe it was, I think he finished 6th in that race. It was not indicative of how strong a race car he had, and here today was running up there in the vicinity of the top 5 and not going to reach even the conclusion of stage number 1.
Yeah, it's tough, and it was a heavy contact on the barrier as well. I was really, really impressed with him last week, and the showing that he put on tonight up until that moment, that was impressive as well. So, you know, it's his moment's going to come, his time, his opportunity, but right now he's just going to get his head back into the game and take a break, take a week off. This is a hard racetrack. This takes its... I think the big thing is when people walk away from the race here tonight, you know, think about how difficult this race actually was, and it's actually supremely difficult. So, you know, don't beat yourself up too much over it.
It's going to be the toughest road course probably that we'll have on the schedule.
Hands down.
Next time that we road course race will be late April when we're at Watkins Glen. We've then got Road America late July, and then the Charlotte Roval during the playoffs, but none of those racetracks nearly as narrow as this street course in Chicago. As we take a look here at Alan Dobbs currently holding down the 3rd position. We mentioned about the fact that Kyle Holden coming into this one. Oh, I believe somebody actually might have just gotten into the tire barriers back there.
Daniels, I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
Yep, I think you're right. In the 4th position. I don't know, like maybe some visible damage on the left front of that machine, but Alan Dobbs and DJ Daniels, we'll talk about the both of them, I guess, because they are 2nd and 3rd in points. 46 points back for Alan Dobbs, 48 points back for DJ Daniels. Dobbs, right now, the highest driver in the point standings without a victory, but he's been very consistent and putting together another solid run here today. It looks like some traffic going to start to come into play here. The top 3 have already gotten around the 9 of Chris Roberge, and they are fast approaching the 16 of Tom Bourne.
Yeah, Tom's having a rough night, so after that spin, more's happened to him as well for him to be that far back. So he'll progress, he'll keep out there, he'll keep turning laps, and talking to him, I did a coaching session with him on the track last week. That was his goal, was just make sure score points. You know, I said to him, look, you know, mistakes are going to be a big part about this race, and if you keep that car alive, you can do something with it. You don't have a car, you can't do nothing with it. So that was a lot of his approach, and he'll be very disappointed with that early mistake as well. It was not on the playbook, but such is life sometimes. You got to recover, you got to keep putting points on the board.
Well, he's going to pick up a couple of points right here on this lap. He got around Jonathan Cogswell. Hubka with a moment over there on the entrance of turn number 6. Slowed him up. Tom picks up that position as well. We saw as they were making their way down South Columbus Drive, though, the leader Kyle Holden was in the same camera shot. So Holden, for the first time here this evening, is going to deal with traffic as he's now on the back bumper of the 14 of Christian Ruse.
Yeah, and traffic's starting to become an issue for just about everyone. And he'll pick up a couple spots. And again, remember the pace difference that we talked about. Tom Bourne's going to run in about mid-30s, I think, 1 minute 30, whereas there are guys out here running in the 1:33. So there's always opportunities, and there's always huge brake up at turn 1.
Oh yeah, big wreck. That's Alan Dobbs and Brandon Cooper getting together, 2nd and 3rd place. I don't know if this was 2 separate incidents or if they made contact. We'll go back and take a look at a replay, but all of a sudden, 2/3 of our top 3 find themselves in the tire barrier over in the entrance of turn number 1.
Anything could have happened here. This could have been a pinch, somebody trying to dive it down the inside, mistake.
Oh, just locked it up there, did Alan Dobbs.
Yeah. And he's got nowhere to go. As soon as he's locked up, he's got nowhere he can go. Normal road course, you can try and cut through the inside of the corner, cut the corner, and slide out to the outside. But that's not an option with a street circuit, so he had no options with his wreck avoidance right there, but that's really changed the nature of the top 5 now.
He's on board with the 35. Look at this. Man, as soon as he got on the brakes, that thing just snapped. And look at the speed he carried into that corner. And unfortunately for he and Cooper, a tire barrier there to meet them. And two very competitive
tire barrier.
Well, that's true. Concrete barrier might not have even been able to drive away.
Yeah, that would have been day done for at least one of them, and that'll be heavy contact on Dobbs. He hit quite hard there.
Dobbs has made his way onto pit road. We'll wait to see just how extensive the damage is on his machine. Brandon Cooper has continued on in the 4th position. He's about to get closed up on by Lilith Peters. He didn't have as hard contact into the tire barrier, but he took a pretty good shot in the driver's side door from the 35. So we'll have to see if the 54 at least will still have enough speed to be able to stay up inside of the top 5. Was running in the 2nd position at the time of the incidents. We're looking at Kyle Holden, and look at all the traffic he's had to deal with. He put Chris Hupke in the rearview mirror. That's Matt Mettler up ahead here. Looks like he's going to yield to the leader into the entrance of turn number 4. Correction, turn number 6. Right now, Kyle Holden running over 3 seconds slower. That's fastest lap, and trouble behind him. That's Mettler now into the tire barrier there at the entrance of turn 3. And he's having trouble getting that car refired. Now he will. As 2nd and 3rd place, now 4th, make their way on by him.
I was up on my fastest lap. I was going to steal that one, but look, exactly right. And that call came from DJ Gentle, who actually acted like a spotter for the both of us that were following him behind him. He basically on the radio called to Dylan McDonald that was following him. Boy, that's a heavy hit.
That's a good point as well. I mean, how much communication is going on from driver to driver of where incidents are taking place? How much does the sim iRacing give you that type of information? I mean, obviously, you know, no full course yellows unless there's a track blocker. If you've got a driver that's disabled, maybe just barely sticking out in the racing groove, just how much communication is actually going on there to make everybody aware. If you're coming to that vicinity, look out. You may end up only having a lane, maybe half a lane to be able to work through.
Yeah, so there is communication. You get a yellow flag in the sim that there's an issue. Generally, there'll be a fair bit of smoke as well, so you've got to keep your eyes up. Another crashed up ahead I'm getting, which is another spotter call that comes from iRacing as well. Get out of this traffic. I'm going to pit this time because the traffic is quite immense right now. So this is where the strategy starts to come into it. I've got Dylan McDonald right in front of me, and I'm definitely faster than him, but not massively. So with 3 wide on the way in here.
Oh, man. That's Christian Ruse moving up and out of the way, it looked like. Making it 3 wide into 6. Double wide through the entrance of turn 7. Brandon Cooper back there as well in that traffic. This is 2nd, 3rd, 4th all here. Update on Alan Dobbs. They're still working on his race car on pit road. He's 2 laps down. Last time scored in the 18th position. Oh, we got a car around back there. Believe that was Dylan McDonald. Yes, it was, yeah. The 38. Right up over the bridge there, heading back towards turn 12.
And again, that's just a traffic situation. There's a lot of cars on the racetrack all together right there, so...
Battle on for 2nd. We got another good battle as well going on for the 8th position. Ryan Catalano less than a second behind Patrick McQuaid for that spot. We'll follow the 2nd place battle between DJ Daniel Scott Rankin as they make their way out of turn 5 and down towards the left-hand turn 6. We mentioned Mark Gonzalez is officially out of the race. Tyler Rice, his season debut, does not go the way he planned. He is also officially out of the race. Currently, we are sitting with 12 drivers on the lead lap. Tom Bourne, the last of those. Nearing around that lap 22 mark you were talking about, Scott, about the furthest that everybody's going to be able to go on fuel before they're going to have to pit. DJ
So that was a little bit of
Daniels.
communication. He told me, he said, heads up, I need to pit this time because, like, I'm just much better on the brakes at the moment. So if I'm right on his gearbox and we hit that braking zone, there's nowhere for him to really go. I'm going to turn him coming through. So he called out, said, hey, and they will do that. And a lot of communication generally comes from the spotters that says, you know, this is the group that's going to pit. Super Speedway's a little bit different. Won't be the spotters that'll be doing that. It'll be the teams and the manufacturers will be doing that, a little bit of communication. But that does make the world a lot easier. It's very difficult to pull these cars up. And the one thing I haven't practiced, Seth, was a pit lane entry. So that might be a problem here in a couple laps.
So should we focus the camera on you or not?
No, please don't.
Okay,
please,
all right.
no.
Well, you talked
And
about
Seth's
super
gonna
speedways.
focus
You
on
normally on green flag pit stops see a lot of teammates come down together. That was the case here on this previous lap. You had a quartet of the DJ Daniel Racing Team cars hitting pit road. DJ Daniels, Brandon Cooper, Trey Whitehead, and Noah Jackson all coming to pit lane. And you know, you're talking about the fact as well, you know, we were talking about the ability to get to the conclusion of stage 2, but what about to the end of the race? We still got one more pit stop they're going to have to make there as well.
Yep.
You know, more than likely somewhere in the vicinity of, what, 6 to 8 laps to go is race leader Kyle Holden coming in this lap.
And this will all be done to do with traffic. The biggest thing will be traffic. I think if you're going to take tyres, you probably take them at this first stop. I don't want to run the whole race on one set of tyres, so we'll be taking them here, which will be a little bit sketchy on outlaps. Bring the tyres up to temperature is very, very difficult. But it'll be a splash and dash at the next stop in terms of strategy. Because this one will be a fill the tank sort of stop, so don't lose anywhere near as much time. Do lose a little bit for taking tyres, but not a huge deal. So a little bit of strategy will play its way in.
And you brought up a point that I was actually just about to touch on, so I'll ask you from a driver's perspective. You know, we saw a lot of drivers slipping and sliding around out of the gate on the fresh tires when the green flag dropped to begin this thing. You're now going to have fresh tires to work with as well. You want to make the most of them with that outlap, but how difficult is it to, I'll call it, be patiently aggressive on these race tires? Because you want that optimal lap time to be able to close up the distance with that fresh Goodyear rubber underneath you, but at the same time, you can't afford to make a mistake. I mean, we're nearing halfway.
Yeah, so the difficult part is that the colder tires are worse. So it's trying to get enough heat in the tires, and these things they don't have a lot of side force on the tires because they're very low profile tires. The actual rotationary grip on them is not great, which, you know, part of the characteristic of the tire, don't get a lot of feedback. So there's a few little bits and pieces like that are worthwhile being aware of, but the biggest thing is that yeah, the tires just don't have the same peak grip. Pretty critical is the issues with, I'm just trying to spot my pit box at the moment, sorry, is the issues with locking right front tires on the outlap. That's the biggest issue, so you can get away with it, you'll be fine.
DJ Daniels has got himself a lot of traffic ahead. Drivers that are battling as well for position ahead of him there. Matt Metler, Chris Roberge battling for the 13th spot. You got the lap machine of Rylan Faccianato in the 25, just up ahead of the 96 here. Also the 14 of Christian Ruse. Whoa, Brandon Cooper going around there off the final corner. Oh, and almost got hit by the 23. I believe that was of Trey Whitehead. Keeps it going, but a little loop off of turn 12 for the pole sitter.
Yeah, so just, again, being careful. You don't have the peak grip, and that's the big key. You have some grip, just not the peak grip. And they're not up to temperature on lap 2 either. So
we'll take a look at that again. That's a difficult corner, too. That's kind of a blind corner, isn't it? That left-hander coming around off of turn 12. Loops it around here, and then watch as he gets the thing refired, spins it around, and whoa, hello, Trey Whitehead. Just able to squeak on through between the sideways 54 and the outside wall. Cooper's run into a couple of issues here this evening. Had the contact with Alan Dobbs when Dobbs spun around over in turn 1, and oh, the trouble continues here for Brandon Cooper. And I'm going to ask you this. I mean, once you spin out, you cook those rear tires. It can't be getting any better, the continuation of the lap in terms of rear grip. Is that what he's experiencing right now with another loop off of turn 6?
Well, there's a couple little bits and pieces that are. It's not just as straightforward as, they're cooked, right? It's not just they're cooked. It's surface temperature, and then you don't want that getting into the core of the tire either. So, yeah, they're in a little bit of a hole, but the biggest thing is absolutely right now, Seth, making sure that you're navigating that traffic, and he's just got to think, okay, car's a little bit unsteady. Let's work our way back in. We've got a lot of points that are left on the table here tonight, so let's try and take them. And sometimes getting yourself... there was an update, actually, to the prototype tires yesterday, and that's changed things quite massively and gives you a lot more of a realistic feel of what a cold tire actually feels like, whereas we don't necessarily get that. We get some of that in these cars, but they got a little bit more grip than you would normally expect, and a lot of that comes down to the downforce and the power levels of the cars as well, but these things are really difficult to drive on cold tires.
Kyle Holden re-inherits the lead. He'll be coming around to the proverbial white flag here for stage number 2 this next time by. Completion of lap 24. Top 10 will get themselves stage points. We saw just moments ago, it looked like an unscheduled pit stop by Noah Jackson. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure I saw him clip that wall you were referring to over in turn 8 with the right front fender, and that might be why he had to come to pit road, get some of that damage repaired.
If that's the case, he'll have ripped the right front tire off. So
has returned to the racetrack, now one lap down in the 14th position has Noah Jackson. We can continue to compile the list of drivers that will not reach the conclusion, add another 3 drivers since our last update. Dylan McDonald, Chris Hupka, and Alan Dobbs have retired out of the race, and we've still got about half a dozen drivers that are multiple laps down, either continuing on with wounded race cars or sitting on pit road trying to get manual damage repaired.
And it's minimizing that time on pit road, isn't it? And making gains wherever you can make them. Looks like I'm handling the traffic a little bit better than Kyle Holden at the moment, so that margin's come down a little bit, but he's got to manage that. 10 seconds across 26 laps is doable, but his focus is just points at the end of the day. He can give up a win here, and he'll be totally fine, and that's what he'll probably be thinking about.
You know what's incredible to me is you go back a couple of weeks ago when we ran the short track night race at Richmond, and it was so easy to be able to see the glowing rotors on the front brakes just behind the front tires on these machines. We're in daytime conditions here today at Chicago Street Course, and those rotors are absolutely visible on these race cars as they make their way through the braking zones.
Yeah. You can really see the cars working them over, and it's not easy. We talk about cars having brake fans in real life, and it's to keep those rotors cool. Steel brake composition, it's different. Series is internationally, I remember MotoGP going through this discussion a little while ago. They made the move over to ceramic brakes, carbon compound brakes. They're better at managing peak temperatures, but they're less in all conditions. And that's the reason why NASCAR runs steel brakes, is because for conditions like this, they could run a ceramic style brake and it would probably be a touch better. But the problem is when we go to ovals is that ceramic brakes don't work in those conditions because most of the time they're stone cold. They need heat in them to work properly, and you can't do that with ovals.
You're looking at a replay here. Trey Whitehead with a moment over in the entry of turn number 4. Car just never slowed, and he hits the tire barriers. He's on pit lane now. Tom Bourne, I believe, also had an issue. We'll see if we can find what happened to him. He's actually retired out of the race after a lot of damage on his left front fender.
That'll be rotating into a corner too soon, most likely.
Another turn 4 incident. And that's concrete right there that he hit, folks. Concrete barrier. No give. So Bourne out of the race. Whitehead had to come down pit road for an unscheduled pit stop. Kind of seems like if you can just minimize the mistakes here this afternoon, whether you're a great road course racer or not, you're in line for maybe a top 10 run. Like I said, a lot of drivers probably just had this circled on the calendar and wrote with big red letters, survive.
Yep. Yeah, and this is, normally at Watkins Glen you can get away with that, right? You can miss a corner a little bit, run a touch wide, and there's no problem, but you can't do that here. I cannot stress how much you can not do that here, and how difficult it is. You can if you pinch a brake right at the start of a braking zone, all you can think about is how do I prevent this car from going into the barriers when I get down the other side, and that is not easy to do, you know? Once you pinch a brake, it is very difficult to get it unpinched, stop the car, rotate the car, drive it out, you know?
Been looking at the lap times, and you've been ticking away anywhere from 7 to 8 tenths faster than the 59, albeit though 10.5 seconds back. As we cross the halfway threshold, what is the main focus right now? Looking at consistent lap times, or you're already thinking ahead to try and maybe leapfrog on that final pit stop? Where is the head at of the driver that's chasing at the halfway point?
Both. Traffic is the biggest consideration right now. How do I pit? Got to be quick, got to be consistent, not pinch brakes on the run out of turn number 1. It was a little bit of a left front locking in there. So I'm thinking about my strategy, and that's where that mistake came. I can talk and drive. I find that not too hard, but sometimes thinking and driving, and you don't get a break around this place. Fatigue levels are so high. But yeah, I'm thinking about traffic, how to minimize the time lost in traffic, because that's where my biggest gain is going to be. So if I hit a wall of traffic, there might be a pit stop that sort of opens itself up right there. Car might have to hit that traffic twice. I may only have to hit it once. There's a big gain, you know?
Well, you're better than I am then, because I don't even have to be driving to have a hard time thinking, so I'll give you props on that one. As we're taking you through the field of where your top 10 are currently running, and you can see the adventure that drivers have been on. Some have started up at the front and maintained their positions up at the front. Others have had to cut their way through the field since the drop of the green flag. And you can see a lot of drivers still wearing the wounds of war, but soldiering on. Here, Lilith Peters with quite a bit of damage on the left front quarter panel of her machine. Brandon Cooper's had an adventurous day, had at least 2 solo spins, had the contact with Alan Dobbs. He's still hanging on inside of the top 5, 1 week removed from his victory last week at Atlanta. How about Ryan Catalano holding on right now in the 6th position, putting together a great run? One of those drivers that would fit into the category of just keep the car clean and good things will happen. Patrick McQuaid right now holding down the 7th spot, and he is the last driver on the lead lap, soon to maybe be the first car 1 lap down, because right behind him is the race leader in the 59, Kyle Holden, but still putting together a great run. 777 there, 77 in 7th place. Sean Lauder, quiet day for him, but he's holding on to a solid top 10 in 9th. Dalton McKenney, who, it was interesting, I was showing a bunch of my friends before we came on the air here, the drivers in practice, letting them see what iRacing cars around the Chicago street courts looks like, and he's dubbed this the Waluigi, or not the Waluigi, the Wario car in the field with the color scheme. Right now having a great run in the 9th spot, and Chris Roberge currently holding down the 10th position, as I believe Lilith Peters has made the dive onto pit road. This would have to be, I believe, the final pit stop of the day. Actually, no. Is Lilith out of the race?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting, Seth. Just left the server, so something further did happen to that car.
Let's see if we can pinpoint what it was. She was running at the time in the 4th position. And it looks like she just came down pit road and parked it. I don't see anything untoward outside of that. We talked about the damage she had there on the left front. But just pulls it into pit road, makes her way down to her pit stall, and as soon as she pulls into her stall, retires from the event. So, might be something outside of the sim that is going on that we're not aware about, but tough break there. She was in line for a really good run here this evening.
She's had really good runs the last couple of weeks as well. Definitely the 2 drivers I was wanting to keep an eye on next week when we return to the ovals were Gonzalez and Peters, because they did a really, really good job, the pair of them. Not the quickest cars, but strategized their way to the front at the right time, and that's the big key.
Seemed to be a couple of cars that were really strong in the long run when we ended up having those long stretches of green flag runs with the green flag pit stops as well. And you talk about next week, going back to normal oval racing. We're going to be at the Kansas Speedway. That should be a good one. I mean, if it's anything like actual NASCAR, the next-gen cars, mile-and-a-half racetracks, it's just a match made in heaven. And multi-groove racing should be in store next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Flatout Racing Network. As some traffic here for Kyle Holden to deal with. That is the 92 of now new 5th place driver Ryan Catalano. He'll yield to the race leader. Looks like the traffic control's been doing pretty well here. Checking in last time by that we looked, it was 10.5 seconds the gap. You've now cut it to under 9.
Yeah, being quite aggressive with the traffic, and I feel like a dick because some of the places I'm looking to pass are not overtaking spots. So I've been quite aggressive with the traffic. But look, Kyle Holden, the way that Kyle's going to win this race is by being clean, consistent, not putting the car on the fence. If he makes a mistake and puts the car on the fence, he's going to lose the race. And so he's got a lot less risk that he can necessarily take. Me, I'm only here for a couple of select showings this season, so I'm going to be aggressive. Why? Well, this means a lot less to me, right? If I wreck out right here, I was running second anyway, I wasn't going to get there. But, you know, I'm not leading the race. I haven't got that comfort network. And so the biggest thing that I can do is try and sneak up and put some pressure on him through the traffic as well. So that may cause, you may look at the gap the next time by and go, oh, I've got to push on a lot more. And that triggers a mistake as well. So, you know, seeing and soaring and the games that you've got to play.
So as of right now, of all the drivers that are up inside of the top 10, or at least appear to be up to speed, it doesn't necessarily look like anybody has made that final pit stop. I'm assuming that most drivers going to be looking to pit at the last absolute moment because you want those fresh tires for that final stint. Are there any drivers, do you think, be looking to maybe split this final run in half maybe and strategize that way, take a little bit of an early advantage on the undercut with the fresh Goodyears?
I would be expecting drivers not to be taking tires at this final stop, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, this will be a splash and dash. The tires on the road course compound is actually quite good at hanging on, and you lose a lot of time with drop off to cold tires. So you're actually better off in overall race pace not taking them for this final stop.
Just a continuation update of drivers that have run into some issues here. Mentioned Lilith Peters out of this race. She is beginning to free fall through the running order. Is dropped now to 12th. There'll be a trio of drivers that will pass her momentarily. Christian Ruse would have been one of those first drivers, but he's actually on pit road now in the 14. Here comes Brandon Cooper onto pit lane in the 54. And it looks like...
That could have been to avoid traffic. That'll probably be a traffic avoidance. Just keep an eye on what he does with tires here, because I guarantee you... No, he's taking tires.
No,
That's actually an incorrect choice. Yeah.
Taking lefts at least. Do they go around, change the rights? Yes, they do. Little damage repair there on that front nose, that left front splitter area. Get that thing packed full of fuel, and they'll send him back out and away. He was the last driver on the lead lap at the time. Trey Whitehead still sits on pit road, as does Peyton Holland, getting damage repaired. Same for Christian Ruse in the 14. Extended stay on pit road there for Brandon Cooper in the 54. Now, I may not have been 100% correct, but it looked like when he came down pit road, that damage that they were repairing on the left front looked like that might have been new damage, since we saw him have the double loop on his out lap, so he might have run into some trouble later on. And looks like they are focusing a little bit more on repairing the damage on that car. You know, consider the fact here as well. We've ended up having so far 5 races and 5 different drivers have gone to victory lane. Those drivers know that they're going to be locked into this season's playoffs. If you're a driver that doesn't necessarily consider yourself an aficionado when it comes to road course racing, to have that win in the bank when you were approaching a track like the Chicago Street Course, that's got to take such a load off of your mind that you don't necessarily have to perform consistent here. If you run into problems, you've still got that win to be able to fall back on. Now, Holden's having a great run here today, but you look at some other drivers that have victories that have either struggled or didn't even show tonight. Christopher Reese not in the field. Brandon Cooper's had his struggles. No Jeremy Richmond here tonight either. It's got to be a huge weight off the shoulders for them, knowing that they don't have to necessarily rely on a victory at a track that they may not necessarily feel that they'd be competitive enough to be able to take a checkered flag at.
I think that's an important point, but I think more than that, it's also, I don't have to show up and I don't have to get annoyed at a track that I really, really struggle at.
Yeah.
And there'll be drivers that will be walking away from tonight frustrated and won't have any result on the table, but they knew they should have been frustrated going in. So for the guys that are taking a night off, mentally, that's a game, right? Sometimes just taking that extra week off, and particularly if there's a group of drivers that you're normally around and they tend to frustrate you, well, you get away from that for a week, and it's a reset. Some of the gremlins can be put to bed because all of those drivers will be a little bit more annoyed at having to run Chicago street circuit, and you'll be sitting over there enjoying yourself, maybe watching the stream and broadcast and going, you know what, this was a great race to avoid.
We're watching the battle for 8th. That's Noah Jackson now making the pass on Ricky Bobby. No, wait, that's actually Chris Roberge in the 9 machine, dropping him back to the 9th spot, but it's been a good, quiet, clean night for that number 9 Chevrolet Camaro. It says on the back of that car, I want to go fast, but I don't know if necessarily going fast here is it's a very optimal thing. You kind of want to go slow to go fast when it comes to a racetrack like this, but he's done a great job keeping that race car clean, and right now in line for a top 10. Update on Brandon Cooper. They have just pushed his car back behind the wall, so last week's winner from Atlanta will not reach the conclusion of this week's race from the Chicago Street Course.
Yeah, that's frustrating for him. Doesn't know he was having a great day. And
look at the list of name of drivers we have out of this race. Cooper, Lilith Peters, Tom Bourne, Alan Dobbs, Mark Gonzalez. I mean, these are drivers that we're used to consistently week after week talking about up there fighting inside of the top 10, but the struggles of the technical road course here this week at Chicago.
Oh, it's technical. Yeah, so, again, take an off week. Don't worry too much about it. Put it in the back pocket, learn lessons. This will be the hardest that you have. And remember when the going gets good, how difficult this race course was, because that's really, really important. When you have a couple of bad weeks back to back to back, just remembering how good you've got it when it's a lot more difficult when you come to places like this is really, really important, because racing is tough. Racing challenges you, and this place, it takes a toll. Talking to you and driving the race car, I'm out of breath at the moment.
Well, we'll give you a chance to catch your breath as we are approaching 15 laps to go. Kyle Holden out in front. We'll continue our coverage here in just a moment after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We are getting ready for the run to the finish here tonight in the Chris Hubka the Lender 145 from the Chicago Street Course in the Grind Cup Series. We welcome you back here to the Chris Hupka the Lender 145 from the Chicago Street Course. First road course stop of the season here for the Grind Cup Series. Final pit stop of the night made by Kyle Holden, fuel only. And he will hope that gets him to the conclusion. Looking for his second win of the season. It's been the Kyle Holden show here tonight. He took stage 1, took stage 2. Looking for a maximum points night after winning earlier on this season, coming into this race as the overall points leader, and a lot of drivers behind him in the point stands have struggled here tonight. Alan Dobbs out of the race. Jonathan Cogswell finds himself multiple laps down in 11th. Dalton McKenney's had an adventurous night, though he runs in the 7th position. Noah Jackson multiple laps down as well in 9th place. Going to be a pretty big points gap that Holden's going to have heading into next week's mile-and-a-half race at Kansas, and maybe the first mistake we've seen out of the 59 as he gets into the wall there off the exit of turn number 10.
Yeah, he's got to push, and that's what he's worried about, right, is pushing. He's got an 8-second margin that he can really tinker with over these next 13, 14 laps or so, but the one thing you cannot do, use all of that 8 seconds. It doesn't matter how much you win by as long as you cross the finish line first. You know, that's the only thing. So he's better off running 0.3 of a second off the pace and just caressing it at the finish line and not making those mistakes. So
our own Scott Rankin now the race leader. First driver that actually has led outside of Brandon Cooper, not named Kyle Holden. And you look at the gap that you guys have been able to put on the rest of the field. Holden came down, took his final pit stop from the lead, comes out in second, still 8 seconds in hand over third place DJ Daniels.
Shall we say Van Gisbergen S? I mean, I love any opportunity.
Maybe.
No, I'm kidding, of course. I've actually gotten the opportunity to talk to Shane on sim racing a bunch of times, and because he's still, up until this year, he can't do it. Cup Series schedules prevented him, but last year he was running as a co-driver or a team manager just about all the time as a part of the Logitech V8 Pro Invitational Series, and he's just a giant kid, that guy. Giant kid. Loves what he's doing. I mean, I don't know many racing car drivers that aren't really giant kids, but he certainly encapsulates that.
Well, you certainly, when he ran the Xfinity last series, Cup Series this season, you never see him without a smile on his face. I unfortunately didn't have the opportunity. We were literally the last people cut off in line when I went to the Xfinity race in Dover last season. I was going to try and get his autograph, but the whole time during the autograph session had a big smile on his face. To your point, just kind of seems like nothing gets that guy down. Always seems to have fun, and of course as well, this is a racetrack very special to him. Got his very first Cup Series win and his very first Cup Series start on the streets of Chicago a couple of years ago.
And we got our very first taste of road course. No, it wasn't. Sorry, my apologies. That was Coda. But street course racing in the rain is completely ridiculous because it is so easy to make a mistake, and you actually don't want to drive the regular racing line because all the rubber fills in where you sort of want to drive, and what that leaves is a whole bunch of surface where you want to drive on effectively the non-shiny line where the rubber laid down is the shiny lane. Add in the fact that water brings up a lot of oils and things in the road on street circuits. It is a it's much more difficult a task than wet racing on defined racing circuits.
So a bunch of drivers, obviously struggling here today. I wouldn't put a rain condition race on them here, but we got some road courses coming up. We got Watkins Glen, we've got the Charlotte Roval, we got Road America. If you had to pick one of the three, what one do we lobby for rain conditions at?
Not the Roval, absolutely not the
Not
Roval.
the Roval?
Watkins Glen isn't
You don't want to
too
go
bad,
on the speedway banking with wet rain conditions?
It's not that, it's the puddles forming the chicanes.
Oh.
That's where the biggest issue is, so yeah.
Road America, I think Road America would be really fun.
Road America would be fun.
I would be kind of worried about you guys going
be
down there into, what is that heartbreaking zone, turn 4, I think?
Turn 5, yeah.
5, yeah. Canada Corner might be a bit of a task as well.
I've driven it in the rain. It's definitely difficult down at Canada Corner as well. But the kink is probably the bigger one.
Oh.
The kink in the straight.
Yep. Oh.
That was Matt Davies, I think, getting out of our way. So he was actually just trying to get off the racing line. Or might have damage, actually.
Yeah, he might have pancaked that left side, but that car's got damage in just about every corner. He's been on pit road multiple times during the course of this race for damage repair. See damage on his left front, his right front, left side. He's been through the wars, but right now, with the number of laps left, if he can finish out to the checkered flag, as looks like Ryan Catalano making his final pit stop. Or is this, actually, I don't even know if this is the final pit stop of the day. I think he may have actually just called a tow. We'll check back and see what happened with the 92. But if he completes out to the finish, Matt Davies is going to pick up 3 spots and jump from 17th to 14th, which may not seem like much, but talked about the fact that we get closer towards the end of this regular season. All of these points that you pick up during the course of the regular season, top 15s, top 20s, just a couple of positions higher than where you would have normally finished could be a difference maker into whether you're going to make it into the playoffs or not.
I think the biggest thing is making sure that you're finishing every race is huge. Once you got that win, you've absolutely got to be putting points on the board every opportunity that you possibly can. And this is one of those opportunities to score a boat of points where a bunch of guys just aren't going to.
This is a replay here of Ryan Catalano's moment over in the entrance of turn 1. A lot of damage on that right front, and that's what drew him to pit road. It doesn't even look, it's like he can't even turn the car there, like the right front tire isn't even turning. He had trouble braking there into turn 2. He had trouble braking further on up in turn number 6. He was able to get that race car to pit road, but he is back out on the racetrack as well, but that's going to lose him out a potential. I think he was running inside of the top 5. That now drops him down to the 9th position, 3 laps down.
Yeah. Again, just, it's getting tougher and tougher to not make mistakes. You can feel the fatigue kicking in and just little bits and pieces. How hard do you push? Because I'd really like to nick this fastest lap off Kyle, and that's a risk I don't necessarily need to take from a results perspective, but
Kyle right now, fastest lap, 1:27.990. Only driver so far to crest the sub 1 minute 28 second mark. And now 10 laps to go. Gap from first to second, 16.5 seconds, but still a pit stop yet to be made here by the McNear Designs Toyota.
I'm not happy. I just murdered a man. I just had to apologize to Peyton Holland. I got into him. He was lurking on the racing line, and then I sort of couldn't pick my braking marker up, nearly murdered him, so.
Peyton has gotten it refired, continued on. 19 laps down, last car on the racetrack that is running right now after he spent a good portion of this race on pit road in the first half of this event. He can pick up a couple of spots before the end of this race. He can pass Tom Bourne, Christian Roos, Lilith Peters. I'm not sure he's got enough laps to be able to get Brandon Cooper. As Scott hits pit road, that turns the race lead back over to the 59 of Kyle Holden, who has been so strong this season. Only 1 victory so far this year, but he's been in the conversation of so many others. So far this year, his worst finishing position was back at Daytona. That was a 27th place finish when he started from the pole. Since then, he's not had a finish lower than 7th place, and of course the victory picked up at Richmond a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, he's just been so quick and so consistent. And that's the big thing, it's the consistency. You're right, he has been in conversation for just about every race win that we've talked about, even the super speedway, he was really, really strong back there at Daytona, and it was over multiple weeks at Daytona as well. He just drove such a phenomenal duels showcase, the whole deal at Daytona, and then you go, okay, well, he's not going to be there for all the 1.5 miles and the short tracks, right? Well, no, the biggest thing about him is he doesn't seem to have a weak package. if you're gonna win a race, you gotta beat Kyle Holden every single week. That's difficult to overcome.
Well, we didn't cover the first mile and a half these drivers ran at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, but we will be seeing the mile and a half program next week as we'll be heading to the Midwest. Kansas Speedway next on the schedule for these drivers. Can't wait to see what happens in that one. Jeremy Richmond was the winner of the Vegas race, so you got to think he'll be in the conversation of who to watch next week. Try and double down with mile and a half oval victories. That'll be next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and still to come here on FRN as well. Tomorrow night, green flag will fly on the Season 64 Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge playoffs. We've now put together the grid, 13 drivers ready to battle it out for 3 rounds to see who's going to take the title. Tomorrow night, we kick things off at the high banks of Talladega Super Speedway. See if a driver might be able to lock themselves into the round of 8 with a race victory, or will we maybe see a third driver get their first career win in the series? We ended up seeing Dunn LaPrade do it last week. Bob Dixon got his first career win earlier on this season as well. Join us tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on FRN. A little bit more traffic for Kyle Holden to have to deal with. That's Jonathan Cogswell, that he will pass to driver's left. Got around Sean Lauder just moments ago as well. And the 12, who gets really loose there off of the final corner and is going to pancake the right side of that car into the concrete wall separating the front straightaway there from pit lane. He hit it square, though, and was able to continue on. Don't know just how much damage that's going to be or how that's going to push those fenders into the right side tires. Lauder right now, last driver in the top 5, 5th position, albeit 2 laps down.
Oh boy. Oh my god. Traffic at the moment is hectic. I feel like we're heading to rush hour in Chicago City. That's what it feels like right now.
And it will be interesting to see how much of a fight this 20 car puts up. That's a teammate to the 59. See if he tries to hold, yep, maybe a little bit here to help Kyle Holden out.
Oh, he actually wanted to get out of my way as soon as possible, and I couldn't see that. Yeah, that's actually really well done by him, but that's difficult to read. The problem is I'm going into that corner committed to being behind him, and then he just sort of peels out on the racing line. That's a difficult read. There's nothing against it. That's just, you know, traffic management. I do a lot of endurance multi-class racing, so, you know, that looking for those sorts of moments is something I'm not unfamiliar with, but when you're in the same machinery, it's very difficult to read.
Now, I'm going to, you know, kind of flip the coin here as well. You're talking about how difficult it is to be able to read for the drivers that are letting you by. I can tell you I have very limited experience when it comes to the Chicago street course. I have run it. Whoa, Rylan Faccianato going to go around there on the straightaway between 1 and 2. But I have very limited experience when it comes to this particular racetrack. I think I've run it a grand total of twice on the NASCAR Racing 2003 season sim, and I can tell you that it is just as difficult to communicate to the faster cars of where you're going to let them by, because we've talked about it. The word that we use for this racetrack is narrow, and while there's very little passing zones for drivers to be able to get around slower cars, there are equally very little areas for the slower cars to be able to find a way to move out of the way of the faster cars.
And you just missed the perfect example of that, is that I was trying to get to the inside of a lap car, and Jonathan Cogswell was trying to get out of the way and get to the inside of that car at the same time. So, again, very difficult to read. I wasn't actually trying to overtake Cogswell, and I got down the inside, but he's watching his mirror, and that's what it is, just awareness. The slower you are, the more you've got to watch your mirror, the less you're watching the racetrack, which makes you slower again, which means you've got to read it from further back. It's more and more and more difficult, so it compounds. Traffic's done a great job today. To be perfectly honest, can't really ask much more. I'm just disappointed that we made mistakes in qualifying. That's really what cost us the day today.
Yeah, that lack of track position in the early going. right now holding down a solid second place, albeit 8 seconds behind Kyle Holden, who is at 5 laps to go now. You know, we talk about the consistency of him, but how about some drivers and their consistency that haven't found victory lane here this season? I'm looking at a couple of drivers that just made their final pit stops of the evening. Patrick McQuaid right now in 4th, Dalton McKenney in 7th. McQuaid coming into this one 7th in overall points, Dalton McKenney 4th in the standings. They've been consistently up inside of the top 10, top 15 every single week. And you know, when you're not able to pick up that victory and you're able to build a points gap back to whatever the cutoff line is going to end up being, depending on how many race winners we have this season, that is going to be huge for those drivers when we start getting into crunch time near the end of the regular season and we start seeing that cut line either begin to ascend or drivers mathematically start getting eliminated. There may end up being a handful of drivers that will find themselves 4 or 5 weeks prior to the end of the regular season already finding themselves mathematically locked in on points with the amount of distance they've been able to build between themselves and that proverbial playoff cut line.
I think more so than anything else, not having to look around and go, I've got to win a race here, I think is a big key.
Yeah,
because
not having to have that must-win mentality.
They can just go straight into points mode, you know, very, very early on. And that's a big thing, you know, just being able to switch over to that mode, right? Because the earlier you can switch to just, okay, we're sweet, we're just on points, we don't have to win a race, it changes your decision-making throughout the entire race, right? So you know very, very early on that you'll just be looking to pick off stage points where that window opens it up, but you can run crazy strategies, you can do things just to test things. If you need to take a week off, you can take that week off if you're in such a good points position as well. So a lot of mindset, a lot of psychology, and everyone will be sitting there and going, Scott, but it doesn't change the way that I drive. Well, it may not consciously, but subconsciously you will try, but just a little bit different. You'll wear that tire looking for an overtake just a little bit more, and it's those 1%ers that you know, it's not evident, but it really it's so subtle sometimes, but it's so crucial to being a race car driver, is being aware of these sorts of little things.
Kyle Holden making his way through the monument section, got around Zach Davies. He will now bypass Patrick McQuaid, which means that now, coming to 3 laps to go, only our top 3 finishers are in line to finish on the lead. Lap 4th on down will finish 2 laps or lower than the race leader. McQuaid -2 with that pass heading into the final corner of turn 12. Bit of a quiet day for DJ Daniels. He did have a couple of near misses during the course of this race, but going to be a solid points day for him. More than likely going to have him 2nd in overall points heading to Kansas next week. He was only, I believe, 2 points behind Alan Dobbs coming into this one. Dobbs not going to reach the conclusion, so it will be the DJ Daniel Racing Team 1-2 in points when we head into next week's race at the 1.5 mile in the Midwest. And we will be talking at the conclusion of this race with our podium finishers. You want a post-race interview, Scott?
I'm good. I'm just gonna get up and walk away and throw something.
You've given a 50-lap post-race interview, it seems here.
I ran an endurance race in the V8 Supercar from Phillip Island on the weekend, and that was a race that actually included pro drivers. I was the only one to actually make the fuel distance on that, and I had a lot of people talking to me then. And I was it's taken me until this morning to actually physically recover from that day, because it was so draining, and this is more draining than that. I'm so much gladder that I don't have to do another 25 or 26 laps, because I couldn't do it. The wrists and everything are starting to get worn, you know. I'm starting to make a lot of mistakes that I wasn't making earlier on. I got Kyle down to 8 seconds. We got under 8 seconds. We got down to 6 seconds at one point, and now I'm blowing braking markers. And yeah, you can just tell that I'm done. The car's now starting to cop some damage. So, you know, this is 50 laps of this is a challenge.
50 laps and no brakes either, with no cautions, no stage breaks, nothing like that. It's just straight up 50 laps, green flag laps around the racetrack, no time to be able to let up. The only time you really get a little bit of a break is when you're sitting there in your pit stall waiting for the fuel to be put into the race car, the tires to be changed. I think all
And
these
I've had
drivers
you
are probably going to be
Pratt-
exhausted at the end of this one, those that are still running, that is.
And I've had you, Pratland, in my ear asking me questions whilst I'm trying to drive the whole
Yeah,
time, you know?
yeah. I'm
I'll
partially to
pin this
blame
one
as
on you.
well.
Yeah. What about our fans? What does everyone said out in YouTube land? I haven't had the opportunity to have a look at that tonight. You know, you said, you know, taking a break, which you get under the cautions. Well, some of the road courses, Bathurst is a really, really good example. You have 2 really long straights at Bathurst. We actually get quite a good break around the lap. Nürburgring's got the Dottinger Her, which is, you know, the longest straight in motorsports today. Where you actually do get a breather, you know, and it's just all about, okay, keep the car on the track, and other than that, shift through the gears. White flag in the air.
White flag displayed over the hood of Kyle Holden, looking for the second time this season to go coast to coast pole to win, and he makes a mistake in the entry to turn number 1 into the tire barrier. Not much contact, but it's going to lose him a ton of time. He'll get it refired and continue on. But look how that closed up the gap here on the final lap. You talked about the mental fatigue. It took 49 laps, but the mental fatigue has hit the race leader.
And I made a mistake that cost me 2.5 seconds 2 laps ago. I'd be leading this race. So, you know, you talk about never say die. Well, now he's looking in the rearview mirror. Now he's feeling a little bit more pressure. So now we got to close up. He's got to feel his race car out here on this final lap. I don't. I know what I've got underneath me.
And what did that do to the tires? That long lockup on the entry to turn 1. How's that going to affect the car in these braking zones? A lot of heavy braking zones still to come here. The left-hander turn 6. Cuts it in sharp, lets it swing out. Good corner there, but now another heavy braking zone down here in the right-hand turn 7.
And there's traffic in the legs
there.
there.
Is. That's Dalton McKinney and Chris Roberge up ahead. Just a couple more corners to go, and less than 7 car lengths here in the closing stages. Holden, will he try and make a move here on Roberge? Not able to do it. Make it 5 car lengths here down the final stretch into the final corner. Kyle Holden gonna hold on, but barely. He'll get his second win of the season in a crazy last lap twist here at the Chicago Street Course.
Yeah, great drive by him. Good recovery from the accident.
Boy, folks that didn't stick around for the finish thinking maybe this was just all over, man, that just completely turned around with that massive brake lockup into turn 1. But as you said, good recovery for Holden. Able to get the car refired, get it rolling once again. You can see he's got that damage now, crumpled up right front quarter panel, but gonna still be able to park that thing in victory circle, and with that, Kyle Holden becomes the first repeat winner on the season. A couple of weeks ago, got that first win at Richmond, and he will be burning it down here at the first road course stop of the season in the streets of Chicago. Good on you starting out back, though. That was a heck of a drive, bringing it up into the second position. Had a shot at that victory right there. DJ Daniels going to complete out the podium. Only the top 3 going to finish this race on the lead lap.
What a challenge that was. And like I said, fatigue. Fatigue is a big thing, you know? So, yeah, difficult. Very, very difficult. That was not easy at all. So, congratulations to Carly. You did a great job. One mistake on the day, I think is worthwhile, you know, mentioning. Big one, made it exciting, but yeah, great drive from him.
Kyle Holden with the drift burnouts here down East Balbo Drive. And he will be heading to victory lane here momentarily. Second checkered flag of the season. And he will continue to expand that points lead in the regular season championship standings. As here's now DJ Daniels, third place car, finally catching up here to offer a congratulatory bump to the back of his teammate. We'll show you here in just a moment the full finishing results from this one. A lot of drivers having to mount some comebacks after some early adversity. A lot of big names did not reach the conclusion. You know, we talk about races where there's point shakeups. I think this might be a point shakeup race. We see a lot of drivers ascending and descending through the rankings of the points in preparation for next week at Kansas as Kyle Holden brings it around and he will burn it down under the flag stand here in the Windy City. We're going to get ourselves a nice little podium burnout here. Look at this.
I think we are. I mean, he gets to celebrate. This is his time in the spotlight. Great job done today. And he's enjoying it. And I think he can just feel the frustration and the difficulty and everything burning away as he spins those tires, man, because that's something you all want to do. It's, you know, at the end of a tough race like that, one of the best things you can do is just burn it down no matter where you finish. So we burn that Toyota 123. How about that for the manufacturers today?
Absolutely. That will now mark the third win on the season for the Camry manufacturer as well, as they sweep the podium. Patrick McQuaid going to bring it home with a solid fourth. How about Sean Lauder today? Good, solid top 5 run. He's the highest finishing Ford. Chris Roberge going to bring it home in 6th. Dalton McKinney in 7th. Then Noah Jackson, Ryan Catalano, and Jonathan Cogswell. That's going to be your top 10. That's your survivors of the day here from the Chicago Street Course. Jeffrey Kleinsma did finish this race under power in 11th. Matt Mettler in 12th. Rylan Faccianato, after the first car that had an issue, spinning from the 3rd spot on lap 1. He'll bring it back for a 13th place run. Matt Davies in 14th. And Peyton Holland will finish in the 15th position. From 16th on down, the rest of these drivers did not reach the conclusion of this event. Cooper, after starting on the pole, 1 week removed from the victory at Atlanta, 16th for him. Christian Ruse out of the race. Lilith Peters was running well, but came to pit road and parked it. Trey Whitehead, after a massive impact into the turn 4 wall. Tom Bourne, back-to-back weeks that he has struggled. Chris Hubgood, Dylan McDonald, Alan Dobbs, who came into this one second in points, going to take a big hit in the standings. 23rd, Mark Gonzalez was in the conversation for a checkered flag last week. This week, an early retiree in 24th, and Tyler Rice made his debut here tonight, and he will finish in the 25th position. But that will take us now into our FRN post-race wind down. We've got our second place finisher here in the booth, so we'll go with first and third and see if we can dial up those drivers and their impressions of what they had to deal with here tonight at the Chicago Street Course. Let's see if we can dial up the driver that brings it home in third place here this evening, driver the number 96, DJ Daniels. Hey, DJ, it's Scott and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got a copy?
I think he's walked away for a break.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. We'll give it one more try here, and I think I saw a microphone light up. DJ, you got a copy, my friend?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. I mean, Scott said probably you stepped away, take a little bit of a breather there, and I don't blame you after the endurance race you guys had to go through here tonight. You know, we looked at the schedule. We saw Chicago Street Course is going to be the first road course for you drivers. You look at some of the other road courses we're going to. This is the technical track. It is narrow. It is unforgiving. You couldn't put a wheel wrong or else this track was going to reach out and grab you. You know, we didn't really see you up there at the front, but you stayed up in the top 5. Eventually, the top 3 kept the nose clean. How difficult was it to do it here tonight?
Well, if it tells you anything, I immediately got out of my rig and went and got me something to drink.
There you go.
It was, yeah, this place is so treacherous, man. I mean, one slip, one bobble, you're in the fence. Next thing you know, your steering's broke, or your car's so damaged it's unrepairable. I mean, this place is, I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with it, but I can't complain about a third place finish.
I was going to say, can we get the bleeper out so both you and I can actually say what we really think about this?
Right.
I mean, DJ, obviously as well, you know, you've got some other teammates that were out there that were running well. Just how much information can actually be fed when you're at a road course like this, or is it just a driver's comfort level that you have to rely on?
I really think it's a little bit of both, actually. Kyle was trying to help us all week the best he could, and congrats to him. Obviously, I mean, he's so good anywhere we go. He was trying to help me, man, but a lot of the stuff that he does doesn't work for me or anybody else. So, I mean, dude's just an alien.
Going back mile-and-a-half racing next week at Kansas. We saw you run well at Las Vegas. Picked up that win at another speedway at Auto Club. How excited are you to be getting back to oval racing? And, Kyle's now got a 2 in that win column. Do we look to see this 96 join him in the ranks as a multi-time winner on the season as early as next week?
Certainly hope so. If that race goes to the fence, I'm pretty confident because I've gotten pretty comfortable running up by that fence. But yeah, I certainly hope so. I hope we can get this Toby Keith car in victory lane.
We told the fans to be looking forward to multi-groove racing next week. The mile-and-a-half ovals, the next-gen cars just seemed like a beautiful combination, a beautiful visual of all the different lanes being able to work. We look forward to that next week. But congratulations on surviving here tonight, if we could call it that, at the Chicago Street Course, bringing it home solidly on the podium. DJ, before we let you go, we'll open up the floor to you for thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Definitely got to thank Chris for coaching me through this whole thing and keeping me calm. And as Scott said, if I didn't have Chris, probably would have needed a lot of bleepers about this racetrack, especially when the rears go away. But yeah, congrats to Kyle, man. Everybody, the whole team. Brandon was having a really great run too. Brandon Cooper, that is, and had a run in with Dobbs, I guess. I go into turn 1 and I see cars in the air, so that's never good. But yeah, I want to shout out Toby Keith too. I haven't really got the chance because I haven't got a chance to be interviewed in this car yet, I don't think. And just, yeah, everybody, man. Everybody that puts all this effort in, the whole team. I couldn't be more proud to be a team owner.
Well, brings it home in the 3rd position. Team cars finished 1st and 3rd here tonight. Congratulations on the great run. Best of luck next week when we head to Kansas Speedway in the Midwest.
Yes, sir.
Before we let you go, DJ, just one question: What was the reaction from Kyle when he hit the barriers on the last lap? I want to harass him when we get him up here. So give me something good.
To be honest with you, I heard radio silence, and then I heard something about missing a gear. But I bet you he was probably pooping his pants. I gotta remember to filter myself in here. But you know what I mean, Scott. You know.
I know exactly what you mean, man.
But yeah, man. Yeah. Thankfully, he didn't tear his car up on the last lap. That would have been. I hate to say it because I love Kyle, but that would have been pretty comical.
Man, just remember when you head back down there and you start talking to him, man. I had to do 50 laps whilst I'm trying to commentate the whole time. You thought you guys had it bad.
Oh man, but you did great, man. I'm sitting here thinking I'm running good, and here you come, and I'm like, oh no. And I burnt my rear tires up trying to keep you behind me, and then man, you were gone once
you got through everyone on that first lap. You got so aggressive on that run down to turn 1. You picked up like 3-4 spots before turn 2, and I'm sitting there going, he's going to murder us all. He's going to, oh, you pulled it up. Never mind. All right, he's good.
Yeah, I was, this year, man, I worked on trying to be patient more than anything, just because, you've commentated a lot of races I've been in, and I used to have no patience, but, I mean, I've worked on it, and I actually felt like I was going pretty light there. I felt like a lot of people were being extremely cautious, which, I mean, is completely understandable here.
Oh, he says I'm being patient. He sends it 3 wide on the run of turn 1. Man's a madman. Get him out of here.
We're going multi-group racing next week. I can't wait to see what happens when he's aggressive. Do I hear 4 wide? Do I hear 5 wide, maybe? We'll see.
If nobody goes up by the fence, then why not go 3 wide?
Hey, there you go.
Nobody's around you.
Yeah, clean racetrack up there. Why not?
Thanks for a good run tonight, mate. It was a pleasure racing around you.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah,
Thank y'all for putting this on, by the way. The broadcasts are always awesome.
Absolutely. That's DJ Daniels. He brings it home in the 3rd position. Let's see if we can now go down to victory lane. I'm sure he probably also took a little spell away from his rig. We'll see if hopefully he is available for a chat after his 2nd victory of the season. See if we can dial up Kyle Holden. Kyle, Scott Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I mean, it was the Kyle Holden show here tonight. You swept the stages. You were able to open up a nice gap. Scott was running you down there in the closing stage, but it was looking like it was going to be too little too late. And then white flag comes out. You lock him up going into turn one. But nice job, cool under pressure, able to recover to hang on. But, man, I mean, our heart rate spiked up here. I'm sure the fans certainly got into it, seeing what was going down. What was it like inside the cockpit of the 59 there as you were trying to get that thing going again?
Yeah, that was definitely an oh shit moment. We locked it up because we forgot to shift down to first. We just left it in second for some reason. We just forgot to do it, and my knees are killing me right now. So that was a wrong race, but we couldn't get her going. We tried to spin the tires and get it just locked out of the wall, but we had to put it in reverse finally. And Scott was like 2 seconds away when we started to get going. I was like, oh man. And then we got 2 lap cars in front of us. I'm like, I'm just hoping he just doesn't catch me. We just made the dumbest mistake of my life.
You know, definitely we talked about this racetrack, how difficult it is, and I think it attests to just the difficult level that this racetrack presents when you've got the dominant car of the day having slight mistakes like that. What was the biggest challenge you had to deal with? Because we knew you had a fast car. You were top of the charts in practice. You qualified the thing on the front row, and as we said, you dominated this race, swept both the first and second stages, and were dominating this race by almost over 8 seconds for the majority of that third and final stage. Was it traffic? Was it just a particular corner? Was it braking zones? Was it a combination of everything? What was the main thing that you were focused on during the course of this? Because we talked about the fact there was no brakes. It was 50 green flag laps, an endurance race that you drivers had to go through.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is consistency. I was trying to be consistent with my laps. So I was kind of jumping all over the place from 127 up to even 130s. So it was pretty wild trying to, get around the lap cars when you need to be, but then also make sure that they don't kind of push you in an awkward spot where you got to sit behind them for a while. So that was pretty rough. I ended up catching a bunch of lap cars in the wrong spot, and I just wanted to be safe and let them run their race. I didn't want to get in their way or anything and end up ruining my race as well. So it was just trying to be consistent as possible and then just get into the lap cars when you need to be.
Man, I mean, that race was obviously. I think that's going to be one of the toughest that we ever do in this series. I just can't see anything really topping us. And you talk about the fatigue, the moment. Do you think there was an element of fatigue? Did you switch off going into turn one on that last lap, and that led to a little bit of a mistake? Because I can tell you, I mean, 2 laps before that, I made a mistake that gave you the margin that you needed to go with that one, and that was a fatigue-related mistake as well. So.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking in my head, I cannot wait for this to be done. This is the last lap, and my knees are killing me. And then there we go, the mistake happened. So probably the same thing happened to you. You're like, oh man, this sucks. And then all of a sudden, boom, mistake. So yeah, we just made the mistake at the wrong moment. But luckily, we just had enough time to bring her home.
Well, able to recover, bring it home with your second win on the season, first driver to pick up multiple wins here in the very early stages of this young season, the 2025 season of the Grind Cup Series. Kyle, endurance race, I'm sure you're exhausted. Scott's talked about him being exhausted. DJ we just talked to, he says he's exhausted, so we'll let you get some rest here. Get your celebration done down there in Victory Lane as well. Before we do, though, we'll give you the opportunity here for some Victory Lane thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Just a huge shout out to SimHQ for being on the car, SimRep Market, LZMFG, you guys up in the booth. Always love watching these when we're done. Looks like Chris Hubka sponsors this race, even though I'm sure he didn't want to. So thanks for that. And then thanks to for Grind for sponsoring the series as well, Gold Financial Services. And then we got the green flag sponsor, Mission 22. Huge thanks for you being a veteran. That's pretty awesome.
That's Kyle Holden. He brings it home with the checkered flag in the first road course stop of the season here in the streets of Chicago. Congratulations on the victory. Go get some rest. Look forward to seeing you next week. Try and see if we can get maybe that third win on the season when we head to the Midwest at the Kansas Speedway.
Appreciate it.
So Kyle Holden with the victory here tonight becomes the first multi-time winner on the season. But as we look ahead here, Scott, we talked about it. 1.5-mile racetrack, DJ Daniels said, hey, if that wall line is open, I'm taking it. We're going to see drivers fanning out through the corners, multiple options in terms of the grooves. If it's anything like the green flag racing we saw last week at Atlanta, we're going to be in for a treat next Wednesday night. And Scott might have actually stepped aside for a break as well.
Nope.
Oh, there he is.
Nope, I'm sitting right here. I was listening the whole time. I'm talking back to you, but my microphone's muted on my headset.
Oh, okay.
Next week's going to be an interesting one. I think the big key is, it's difficult from the perspective of, multi-groove, but the groove is going to change as the race goes on, and that's the big thing. You got to read the racetrack, and there will be times where you'll just have to move around and hope, and you don't want to be the last one to move, but you also don't want to be the first one to move sometimes either, because sometimes that can lead to a mistake.
Well, a great race here this evening from the Chicago Street Course. We appreciate everybody for tuning into our coverage here tonight. Congratulations to Kyle Holden, as he is the winner of the Chris Hupka The Lender 145. And next week, we will be racing at the Kansas Speedway Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to join us for that one as we continue to progress the 2025 season of the Grind Cup Series for the ESports Oval League. Again, tomorrow night, playoffs begin for the Talladega Challenge Series under the banner of Rolling Thunder Gaming. 13 drivers will look to advance into the round of 8 in the start of a 2-race first round. That will be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. But again, thank you for tuning into our coverage here this evening. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to